my camera. I brought it with me on the trip to Turge Recordings. That's TRG, by the way. And I didn't record crap. I didn't record crap! I sure didn't. Actually, I recorded one thing, and I'll probably put that in when the appropriate time comes. But I don't know. I just kind of felt like, I wanted to just live in the moment and kind of experience it and not worry about trying to capture everything. I thought maybe what I could do is just get on here and kind of like tell the story after the fact, come home and regale the tale or whatever, and so that's what I'm going to try to do here. It probably would have been better if I taken notes for this a little bit to try to like get everything in order, but I'm kind of just going to shoot from the hip here and see what happens. Besides, I've heard people say they kind of miss the regular old vlogs like this, and so maybe this would be a better way to do it, even though I'm still talking about the same thing, but I can kind of sort of just go whatever. So, the trip started. It was actually kind of like two trips, really. One for TRG Recordings and one for MomoCon. So, I took off on the 16th, and I was at the airport. I remember sitting there, and I just grabbed some chicken from KFC, or was it Popeyes, actually? It's like it was Popeyes, actually. Like that matters, but anyway, I'm sitting there and there's this guy who looks like Seal playing the trumpet, or not the trumpet, but the saxophone. And he's over there playing, and there's this other Korean guy and this little kid about 3 years old watching. And the saxophone player starts like leaning in towards the kid as he's playing. He's kind of playfully dancing a little bit and stuff, doing this funny stuff, and the kid's sitting there laughing. And the person finishes playing the saxophone, and the dad's down there teaching his kid how to clap. And there's something about that moment that just... There was something about that moment that just made me feel like, wow, what a beautiful world we live in, or what a... I mean, it sounds naive, what I actually thought. Because what I actually thought was, we really do have world peace already here, don't we? And I know we don't. I know that's not true. We don't have world peace. But how lucky are we to be able to live in a world that the movies depict as perfect? The movies always depict whenever, right before something terrible happens, they always show people peacefully living their lives, going on about to their destinations. And I'm sitting here watching these people just walk along back and forth, going to whatever they're going to do, and they all have different things they're going to do, but they're just going and doing them, and they're okay, they're safe, they're not in danger. And it's just, that's the kind of world we dream of, and it's like we have it, and it's so cool. Yeah, I know not everybody has that luxury, but man, how lucky we are, though. So, I don't know, that was just kind of something that I thought about. So it's not even like, I don't know, a half hour later, John arrives, and then Chugga and Massey, and I cross the street, go over to meet them, we get in the car, we talk about this restaurant. There was this restaurant we went to last year that is called, like, I can't remember what it's called, but the restaurant uses Nintendo art of Donkey Kong in its logos and on its menus and on the windows and everything. I don't know how they're getting away with that, because I don't think that's technically legal for them to do that, but yeah, it's the Donkey Kong restaurant. We went there last year and had catfish, and it was really good. It was actually super good. But we almost went there again this year, but we decided to go to Cheesecake Factory instead. So I went there, had my fish and shit, and then we went over to the mall and stopped by GameStop, and I think there was something that Chugga wanted to get, I guess a Pokemon card or something, and he actually picked it up. He was going to buy it, but then it turned out they weren't even supposed to have those on the shelf because they didn't technically release until the next day or something. So that was kind of funny. Also, you can see my out of time license plate. I actually bought this at MomoCon. It's pretty cool. I'm glad there wasn't like some kind of second meaning there, like suddenly something happened to me, and then people would like, get my body, take it down to the funeral home and say, oh, this was the last thing he bought. How ironic, So, yeah, I gotta find a place to put this up, but first I gotta get into a new place. But there's actually kind of good news going on about that, but we'll get to that later. Well, I don't really talk about that whole situation that much these days, but I will. I'll get around to it. But anyway, because it's looking like probably as soon as the 1st of July here, I'm going to be taking over as the sole tenant in this apartment. And I don't really need a 3-bedroom apartment, so I wonder if I might be able to transfer to like a 1-bedroom, just for the time being. until I figure out what I'm doing. Although, to be honest, I kind of like it here. I don't know. So, anyway, I don't know, though. Yeah, let's just figure it out. Anyway, stop doing that. Why are you doing that? This is not a vlog. You're sitting there. Anyway, yeah, it was just kind of the usual stuff. We recorded our project. I'm not going to say what it is because it's way too soon for that. I already spoiled one of the other projects we did on the last trip, which will probably be going up in the next few months. But that was like in a Twitch chat room of like 16 people, so... And they all pretty much are people I trust, so I don't think anything's gonna happen there, but anyway. So yeah, I mean, nothing too original. Well, okay, so here's the thing now. Super MC Gamer, who you might know, is the one who does, the guy who does all the charity stuff. He actually invited me to do a thing for Zeldathon, because they were doing like a little event down at MomoCon, which is kind of like the same as the other Zeldathons, but it was like live, so people could watch it live. And he invited me on to play Zelda, and like he asked me, is there any particular game? And I'm like, yeah, I want Zelda 2, because I'm good at Zelda 2. And I mean, I'm not the best in the world or anything. I'm not a speedrunner even, but I do have my little special little level 1 attack run thing that I do. So I kind of just suggested that, and he's like, okay, you got it. So and we'll get back to that a little later, because that was probably my favorite part of the trip. But anyway, it's tempting to like maybe grab some footage of that and throw some highlights into this video or something, because that'd be pretty cool. 4, 3, 2. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I'm freaking out over here. 1. There it is!
Yeah! Oh my goodness.
I did not expect that to happen. It was so fun, oh my gosh. Because he was asking me, like, what donation incentives can you come up with, and I had this weird idea. I'll get back to that later. Okay, so anyway, we recorded our project, and we actually got done a little early. We had a little extra time, which is kind of weird, because considering this was a short trip, we didn't have a lot of time to really mess around. Because, like, with John and Luca moving into the house and everything, we had to kind of rearrange our schedule a little bit, so we had a few, like 2 or 3 fewer days than we normally would. So we kind of had to put a rush on it, but we actually got quite a bit done, all things considered. We recorded some Wheel of Fortune, like usual. I'm really embarrassed about this one puzzle where the answer was the USS Arizona, the Pearl Harbor. And, like, me and John didn't know what it was, but Chugga did. And he kept saying, oh, it's super, super important. And then I was really embarrassed when I realized what the answer to the puzzle was. Because we had the U, and then a blank blank, and then Arizona, and then something about Honolulu in the puzzle. And I was like, what does Arizona have to do with Honolulu, you know? I didn't realize Arizona was talking about a ship. Which, if I'd realized that, I would have figured out the USS part, but I should have made the connection, but I didn't, and I felt really embarrassed about that. So go ahead and get that out of the way so people won't be too, you know, surprised at how dumb I am when they realize I didn't get that puzzle. Because I didn't know what it was either. It's like me and John didn't know what it was. I mean, John, it's understandable because he's Canadian, you know. So we had to know all that historical stuff, all the little nuances, the little deets. But, anyway. So yeah, we recorded lots of Wheel of Fortune. We had some good times. You see, and I also practiced Zelda 2 a lot on his NES Classic while I was there. So I probably did about 3 runs of it. I got pretty good. I got to the point I could actually do my run in 1 hour and 45 minutes. That was like the biggest obstacle to me though about that Zelda run was how am I going to get this down to where I can do it in under 2 hours? And the last run I did was 1 hour 45 minutes. So I'm like, okay, I'm ready for this. Let's do it. So we were kind of toying around with ideas about what I could play as a blind playthrough because sometimes we do that. We play a game that one of us has never played before and the other two kind of just guide him through it. So it was like John with Pikmin or Chugga with Super Metroid. And, but it's hard sometimes to find games for me and John to play because, especially John, because he's played like everything in the world. And I played a lot of stuff. But I also have a huge amount of anxiety about sucking at games. So, like, here's the thing. I don't know if this will ever actually happen or not, but we were talking about a certain game for me. Actually, I'm not going to say what that game was. We were talking about it on the last trip, too. But anyway, So one night we were randomly just talking about games, and this other game came up that I've never played. And I hate being so vague about this because it's not interesting at all. But anyway, the moment they mentioned that game, I was like, you know what? That's a game I also have never played. And they were both just like, oh, really? And it's like almost instantly, all three of us knew this was what was going to be the next project for me as a blind player. It's a fairly easy game. I haven't watched, like, I've watched maybe 5 or 10 minutes of streams of people playing it. Never actually played it myself, and people sometimes ask me to. And so I'm going to play it on TRG now, which is pretty cool. And I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised at the game. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. It was really fun. I really enjoyed that. The game does have a sequel. It's like on the 3DS, so I might, if that's the closest thing to a hint you're going to get out of me there. But yeah, it was a pretty standard trip. Nothing too unusual. I mean, we were all okay. We listened to Trapped in the Drive-Thru in the car. You know, Weird Al. We always listen to Weird Al at some point. There's usually a different Weird Al song becomes like the theme of each trip or something. Like the last trip, it was I Lost on Jeopardy. So, it's just crazy, man. Crazy times. But anyway. Oh, and we also ate at Buffalo Wild Wings for the last time. That was sad. Because apparently Buffalo Wild Wings had to shut down a bunch of their locations that were, like, underperforming. I can't believe that they would think that that location was underperforming, because there have been a lot of times we went there and it's been packed. You know, and it's a sports bar, so people come in there and they're, like, all getting into it, you know, and whatever. So, I don't know, man. So before we knew it, you know, the week was up and it was time to go to MomoCon, so they had booked the hotel for us to actually stay at MomoCon, because it's like maybe a half hour, 45-minute drive for us to get there from where we're at, from our headquarters, as we call it. But it's worth it to book. I guess they think it's worth it to book the hotel. I'm glad they did, because I always love when they do that, because it's so handy to have a hotel room that you can just go up to, you know, and like, you know, just like recharge a little bit mentally, or get a drink or something, or just sit down and look out the window. And you know, and when you drive there, you know, you can't really do that. There's no like home base for you to go to where you can stop and just kind of decompress. There's like the AFK room, I guess, you know, but it's always nice having a hotel room, because then that way you kind of stay up as late as you want. You can each do your own thing. You don't have to like every day meet up to get back to the car to drive back home. You know, it's like we just, you know, stay there and do the thing, you know? It's like kind of like MagFest. It's really handy. So we get to the hotel, we get checked in, and everything's good, and at least I didn't have to go to the bathroom this time. See, last year, we were driving up to the hotel, and by the time we got there, I had to pee so freaking bad. And I'll never forget how bad I had to pee. That's one of the worst pees ever, man. And I know why it was, too, because I made a veggie smoothie before we left. And those things make me pee for some reason real bad. So, I don't know, man. So we got to the hotel, got checked in, I started loading business cards around right away. And Thursday, what was the Thursday? Trying to think of, like, I can't remember much about the Q&A panel. It was like we answered questions. I can't remember anything particularly crazy that might have happened at that one. And then we had thrown controllers the next day, obviously, and that was super good, super cool. Some contestant comes up named Steve, introducing himself as Emil's worst nightmare. And right away the audience is like, Steve, 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 Steve. And the moment they started doing that, the first time they started doing that, I got this weird feeling that he was going to win. And he ended up winning. So there you go. It's weird how often that happens. Because, you know, like at MagFest a couple of years ago, that Wario cosplayer who won on the brutal question, I'm like, wow, I still can't believe he got that question. The question was, like, to name the other 3 racers in F-Zero besides Captain Falcon, and he did it. That was crazy. Some crazy crap, man. But anyway, yeah, Steve ended up winning the panel, so that was pretty cool. And then on Saturday, we had the autograph session, but that was also the day of my Zelda-thon thing. So the autograph session was at like 2:30, and then my Zelda-thon performance is at like 5. So, and the autograph sessions have a tendency to go on for at least 2 hours, sometimes 3. So I was a little worried about that, because I knew I had to get over to that Zelda-thon. I wasn't, you know, I mean, I might have started at 5 on Zelda, but that didn't mean that I got to just wait until 5 to go there. like I needed to be there early for that. So, but it got around to like 4:40, and we had like 2 people left in line. It's like, oh shoot, you know. So the first one of them comes up and starts going into these long conversations. I'm like, shit, 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 shit. What do I do? But eventually, I just kind of, you know, said, can we get her up there so we can sign her stuff so I can get out of here? Because, oh my god, it was like really cutting it close. But anyway, I got over to Zeldathon. It turned out it was okay. So I ran into MC on the way there, and he had to go to the bathroom. So when I got there, like I still had like 5 minutes of time to kind of just take a breath, you know, and get ready for my run. And it was like, dear God. So I was over there, and Sab, Irene, and Carlos were there, and I mean, a lot of people were there. I mean, I couldn't believe how many people were there. Just like coming over to cheer me on or whatever. Like so many years I've watched the Zeldathons and watched like when they would get donations in and music would play, and they start bopping on the couch, and you know, just getting to be one of the people on the couch at one of those things was really kind of weird because it's a dream I've had for a long time, and I was kind of just literally sitting there about to live it. I didn't even know what to think, and I was getting nervous. I was really nervous about the run, though, because I wasn't sure. Well, part of the thing I was nervous about was that I'd been practicing on the NES Classic, but we weren't able to actually get a NES Classic for me to play on, so I had to play it on the Switch. And the Switch controller, well, yeah, I guess, okay, the Switch controller has, like, start right here and select right here. You have to use select and start to cast magic. But then there's these other 2 buttons here that bring up like a menu, so I kept doing that as I was playing, and it was like, oh god. So yeah, but anyway, I got used to it, and I did the run, and it did pretty well. It was pretty cool. I had a lot of trouble on the second palace for some reason. I was up to like, I had like 50 experience out of 1,200 left to gain a level. And somehow I died. I was stupid. I didn't use shield magic when I should have, and it just... I can't believe it. I can't believe I let it happen, but I did. So, and then I died stupidly in the 4th palace, too. It's amazing I got it done as quickly as I did. But anyway, but by the time I got to the 5th palace, from then on, it was pretty much smooth sailing. I just had to grind a little bit to catch up on those levels I missed because of dying, so that was kind of cool. And they were very understanding about it, and they actually let me go over time so I could finish the game, which I really appreciate, because, like, you know how when you do a speed run, and it wasn't really a speed run, but obviously when you're on a time limit, you get used to being like, okay, I want to get to this point at the 45-minute mark or whatever. And so, like, on my latest practice run of Zelda 2, I was taking off on the raft at 45 minutes. But in this run that I was doing on Zeldathon, at some point they said, okay, we got about 55 minutes left, and I hadn't even taken off on the raft. I was at 105, 20 minutes late. I hadn't even taken off on the raft, and I thought to myself, okay, then I'm not finishing this game. It's not going to happen. There's just no way. But then I thought, well, you know, I mean, I'll just get as far as I can, because obviously there's all these people with these 2-hour slots, you know, and they're doing stuff like Wind Waker Randomizer or whatever, and chances are most of them aren't finishing their games either, so I'd already kind of resigned myself to the thought that, well, maybe I won't finish mine either. Maybe it won't be a big deal. So, but they gave me enough time to finish it, and I managed to finish it in like 2:15 or something. It worked out pretty well. So that was cool. That fight with the Thunderbird, oh, that is always... The Thunderbird is the worst part of the run, the level 1 attack run, which is what I did. But, well, what I decided to do was make it a donation incentive, to where, like, every $250 that we got in, I would take my level down by 1. You can't actually level your sword down once you've leveled it up. So I kind of just had to make a cutoff point and say, okay, I'll get to this point, and then however much we have, I'll figure out how far to level it up at that point. And then, of course, if we didn't get the, whatever it was, $17.50 to keep me at level 1, then I could just level the sword up, and then it would be easier to finish the game, and I'd be like, okay, I can do this. But as it turns out, we did get the amount of money that it took to keep me at level 1, so I did have to finish the game at level 1 attack. But I was kind of happy about that, though, because they gave me a chance to show off, you know, and I'd never pass up a chance to do that. My sister always used to accuse me as a kid of being a show-off, and you know what? I am. Like, that's one of my favorite ways to express myself is playing those games, which I know that doesn't tell people anything about you, but it's just fun to do it. I don't know. I'm just weird, I don't know. But anyway. So yeah, I finished the run and it was good, and I got the pie to the face, and oh man, it was great. Came off the biggest high on that, man, I tell you. So yeah, once I was free, I just kind of went back to the hotel room. Thought, okay, I think I'm just gonna spend the rest of the day in here. So I got to hang out with John and a couple of his friends, Frank and Liz. They're really cool, and Allison and Chris and then Jerry. That's another guy. I forgot to name Jerry in the tweet that I made about. Oh, okay. I need to back up a little bit here. I missed something huge. The biggest thing that happened on this trip, and I haven't even talked about it yet. Oh wow. Oh man, this is a story. This is a story. This is what I came here to. Oh boy. Oh my god. Okay, so as per usual, they had the chalk thing where people drew in chalk on the sidewalk. I did this last year. I drew the entire. Well, I tried to draw the entire map of Link to the Past, but I ran out of space at a certain point. So this year, I was kind of thinking, I'm going to do the same thing, except the weather forecast was especially unforgiving this year. It's like straight across the board, mid-90s, which I know for some people who live in like Arizona and stuff, that's nothing. But 90 degrees, humidity, and sunshine, not exactly the best combination. So I'd already told myself, like, if I was going to do anything in chalk, I was going to do it at night. I was going to wait till at least 10 or 11, and preferably wait till after midnight so the crowds would be down a little bit. So eventually I got out there with my chalk, which I had bought at the Publix when we went there on the Runaway Guys trip. I was going to do Super Metroid this year, but then I thought, well, since I'm doing the Zelda 2 run on Zeldathon, and Zelda 2's map would be a lot easier to draw, I think maybe I'll just do that this year since I don't have as much time or whatever. So yeah, I did that. I went out there on the first night and basically got the entire first half of the map drawn. I didn't get Death Mountain, but... Oh, and I didn't do the island either with the third palace on it. I meant to do that, and I never did. I was going to get back to that the next night, but then... So when I came out to like finish it the next night, it started on the second half of the world. It turned out somebody had already drawn on the square next to my map. So I couldn't exactly like draw the rest of the world because there was something else there, and I didn't want to draw over what they had put there. But I mean, I kind of suspected that might happen though, because how are they supposed to know, How are they supposed to know that I was going to come back out there later and finish the map? Like, not everyone knows Zelda 2's map, and that's totally understandable. So I figured that might happen. I was almost kind of hoping it would, so I'd have an excuse not to do it. But then, like, why would you not want to do it? I don't know. It's a weird thought process. But anyway, you were still pointing way too high here. How about that? Yeah, so... You can see my pillow now. Or that's actually the pillow I used to put between my legs when I sleep. But anyway, so when I saw that other square had been filled in, I thought, okay, I'm just going to draw the Hylian crest instead. Because I drew that actually 2 years ago. And I put that on Twitter, and it got a huge response. Back then, if I got 800 likes on something, that was a huge deal, and that's pretty much what that drawing got. I think it's over 1,000 now, I don't really remember. So I thought, okay, I'll do another Hylian crest, but I'll make it really big this time. So I kind of mapped it out in my head, and I had the Triforce out, and it was about... The Triforce itself... Well, the crest ended up being about 8 feet long. Unfortunately, I don't think anybody actually got to see it, though, because they went off and erased all the chalk drawings on the second night. I'm not sure why they did that. But if I had known they were going to do that, I wouldn't have bothered to go out there and draw it, because nobody got to see it. And I didn't even get to take a picture of it when I finished, for reasons that are about to come up here. So anyway, okay, so I'm drawing this Hylian crest, and people are coming by, they're complimenting it, and I'm like, hell yeah, thank you so much. And I actually ran out of some of the colors that I needed, so I kind of had to improvise a little bit with some of the colors, but it was okay. As usual, I'm kind of using my phone as a template. Like, I have a picture of the Hylian crest loaded up on my phone so I can look at it to see where all the, little shapes are relative to each other to make sure that everything lines up properly, right? Well, anyway, I'm just getting done shading in the last little triangular area, and I stand up, and I step back to look at it, and it looks really good. And I'm like, okay, awesome. Finally done here. It's about like 3 o'clock in the morning at this point. So I go to grab my phone. It's not there. My phone is not there. And I'm like, okay, wait, it probably just fell into the bushes or something. So I kind of look around the bushes a little bit. I kind of weed in and out of there. I use my feet, and it's just not there. My phone is not there. And I'm like, did I put it in the grocery bag? I brought a grocery bag full of chalk with me, and I checked my pockets. It wasn't in the pockets. My pants are totally stained with chalk all over the place at this point. And my phone is missing. And I'm like, wait a minute, now I can't take a picture of this Hylian crest? But it was worse than that, because I thought, well, wait a minute now. Like, what is going on here? There was one, I mean, I started, like, looking around, and all of a sudden, it, like, hit me what had actually happened here. Like, how serious this was. Because my phone had access to my Twitter, to my YouTube, to my Discord. Like, dear God, I'm telling you. It had all my Pokemon Go information on there. And most of that I already had backed up, so we're okay in that regard. But man, I gotta tell you, it scared me for a second. I was like, okay, you know, the longer I wait to do something about this, the worse it's gonna be. They may have already done irreparable damage. Like, they could have gone on Twitter and posted something as me, or gone into Discord and said something nasty to one of my friends or something. And I was scared. Like, I was literally scared. Well, I mean, anybody would be, I guess, if they literally scared. But anyway, so I looked around and found the nearest cop that I could find. Because they're all over the place out there, so... Anyway, I go up to the cops and I tell them my phone is missing. Like, I don't know what's going on here, but I can't find it. So, you know, one of them followed me back over to where I was. And he had a flashlight, thank God, because it's like 3 in the morning here. You can't see nothing. Especially, like, down in the bushes and stuff. And we were looking around all over the surrounding area. And I'm like, I know I just had it. I just had it 15 minutes ago. I was just looking at it. And he shines the light all around the bushes, and we look and we can't find it. The thing is just not there. So eventually he asks me what my number is. He pulls out his phone. He says, what's your number? So I give him my number. And he dials the phone. And here's the really weird part to me now. He dials the phone. Someone actually picks up on the other end. Someone answers my phone. And he asks who the person is, and they just hang up. So he's got my phone and he's hanging up. I'm like, oh boy, this is not good. Anyway, so about a minute goes by. He actually asks me to look at the phone and check the number and make sure that it's the right number, which is good. So I looked at the number really carefully. I looked over it twice to make absolutely sure he was dialing the right number, and yes, he was. It was my number. So he dials it again. He dials it a second time. The person picks up again. This time he actually says, this is the police. Like, I'm looking for this phone. This phone has been reported stolen. So, and a couple of people have said that it was stupid. Like, I've heard a couple of people, like, on Twitter and saying that it was stupid for him to identify himself as the police. But I'm not sure. It's hard to say, because, like, I was glad that he had identified himself as the police, because I wanted that person to be scared, whoever it was. Like, I wanted that person to know he had been reported, you know, because I thought that would egg him on into bringing the phone back. Like, the first thing they're probably thinking is, oh, I got away with his phone, and, you know, he's not going to say anything because it's Tim. He doesn't stick up for himself. I mean, I can't figure out if it was, like, somebody who knew me, or just a homeless person or something like that, because I feel like if it was a homeless person that did it, if it was just like a bum or a hobo or something, then why would they answer the phone, you know? If it was just someone stealing the phone to go off and pawn it or something, why would they answer it? But on the other hand, if it was someone who actually knew me or knew who I was and deliberately, maliciously took it, you know, then I could see them answering the phone, because maybe they would be expecting to talk to me. You know, that I would be the person to dial the number to try to get it back. But then when they found out it was the police, they just decided not to. Maybe just tossed it or something. I don't know. I'm thinking more than likely, oh shoot, I need to call them today, actually. Because I filed a report with the police, and they said to call back in like 3 days. And 3 days later, I was still there. I was on a plane. So today is day 4. So I do need to call them, but maybe I can do that when I get my new phone. I was going to do that today, but I slept in so late. I slept 12 hours last night, so I couldn't do it today. By the time I woke up, it was like 3:51 p.m. And I think the Verizon closes at like 5. So by the time I ate breakfast, got showered, and got, you know, dressed and everything, there's no way Like, I didn't want to go in there at 4:45 and be like, oh, hey, I need a new phone, everybody. But yeah, I still can't figure that out. So anyway, the police guy, I basically followed him into the convention center or whatever it's called, and followed him for what felt like forever. We must have walked at half a mile, maybe a quarter of a mile, down to this elevator that went down like 4 floors. I swear it must have been underground. It's kind of spooky, but he got me to come down there so I could file the report, and and it was all really official and everything, and I signed my name and I initialed everything, and so yeah, I have to find out what went on there. But once I got done filing the report, it was basically 4 a.m. at that point, so I just kind of wandered back out to the park, and I stood there, and just looked around, and like every single person who had a phone suddenly became a suspect to me, and I was like, shit, is it that guy? Is it that guy over there? There was one guy that was like sitting nearby, and he had a phone, and he was just looking at it, and a couple of times I saw him looking up at me, but I think the reason he was looking up at me is because I was talking to a police officer. It probably looked weird, but I don't know. But yeah, it was a weird night. It was a weird feeling, because like all of a sudden everybody around me became a suspect, and I was not happy about this. Like, because anybody could have been the person who did it. I don't know. The person might still have it for all I know. But what I needed to do was get in touch with Verizon so that I could have the phone deactivated, because I don't know how I was going to do that. Plus, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, so what are the chances they're going to be open or available to do that? And will I be able to do it online or something? And I don't know. So anyway, I get back up to the room, and I get on my laptop, and I punch in the information for the internet, and I get on there, and I go to Google, and I say, okay, deactivate Verizon phone. How do I do this? And it comes up with a number, and I'm like, okay. So I scribble this number down, and of course I don't want to wake John up because he's trying to sleep. So I go downstairs to the front desk and I say, can I use your phone? And I dialed 9, and I did the thing, and I dialed the number. And it goes through this whole thing and says, like, blah, 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 press 1 for whatever, press 2 for whatever. And then it gets to this point where it says, even though we're closed right now, you should be able to blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what a way to soften the blow. Like, even though we're closed. You can just say we're closed right now, hang up the phone. But no, they're like, well, even though we're closed, you have these other options you can do. So anyway, well, one of the options was to go to myverizon.com. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to have to go there because I got to do something here. So eventually I find a way to get online and get into my, my phone, my information or whatever, my account, and actually put a freeze on the phones. That's what I did. So then I went to Google and I went to Find My Phone Android, and actually ran a search on it, because the last I remember, battery on the phone was at like 20%. And I'd had this phone for like 2 years, so the battery had a tendency to run out really fast, especially towards the end of it. Sometimes I'd have it where like it would be at 20%, and it would only last 5 minutes before it ran out. So it was pretty bad. And the last I remember seeing it was at like 29. The last time I looked at the Highly Crest, or the last time I checked the battery, it was at 29, so it probably wasn't even at that. By the time the thing got stolen, who even knows? But anyway, so chances were pretty good that the battery died pretty soon after the thing got stolen. Like, the person was able to answer the phone a couple times, but I don't know. So, like I said, I got on Google and I did Find My Phone, and it actually gave me a location. It was in the park, right across the street from the hotel. It was in the park. And it said that was the last location reported 1 hour ago. So, the last location I know of where my phone could have been would have been at about 3:30 or so a.m. in that park across the street. And one of the things it said on the website was that, we don't advise trying to retrieve the phone yourself, which I understand why they said that, because if it was actually stolen by someone criminally, and you go to try to confront them to get the phone back, it's like, I don't know. I was still tempted to do it, though, to walk down to that park, but I didn't want to do that in the middle of the night. Because who knows, like, what kind of crazy people are out in the middle of the night like that. I could have put myself in danger. So I decided it was safer just not to do that. So I get up the next morning, and it still says the same thing. It gives me the same location, but it says last seen 9 hours ago. So I guess that's where the battery died, was at some point in the park. But I have no way of knowing where it got off to after that, so unless the person decided to charge it. You know what? Hang on a second, let me try something here. Now it's giving me that same location. I mean, unnamed road, Atlanta, Georgia. So I don't know if they tossed it in the park or if that's just where the battery died. It's not saying when that... Let me see. Last seen 3 days ago, yeah, via Maps timeline. So yeah, I secured the device, basically lock device and sign out of your Google account is what I did. So I didn't want to erase all the content from the device because, man, I had like lots of pictures and stuff on there. I don't know. But anyway, wow, this recording's in really long here. Oh man, so yeah, I mean, I filed the report, and then the next day I told everybody what was going on, and I did the Zelda run, and then, well, anyway, so by the time I got to the fourth day, I don't even know what I was doing. Because the fourth day was kind of the only free day I really had. So I got up at like 11 in the morning or something. And, oh, another thing I was doing was I had my 3DS with me. Well, actually, my mom's 3DS. Because Emil kept making these things about, talking about Street Pass, and I'm like, okay, it's been a while since I played. Maybe I'll bring my 3DS, just going to help him out. But I didn't want to bring my 3DS that had, like, my modded 3DS for recording Phoenix Wright and all. So I brought my mom's 3DS instead. So, and mom's 3DS had Phoenix Wright on it, the first, like, the original trilogy. So every time we went to a restaurant just for the hell of it, I just kind of pulled up Phoenix Wright and started playing through the first 3 cases. And I got to case 1-4. I didn't get very far into it, but yeah, I actually bought that Phoenix Wright for her to play, like, when she was in the hospital, but I guess she never really got into it, so it's too bad, really, but oh well. Can't expect everybody to like the same things you do, whatever. I actually have another video about my mom's old CD collection. I recorded it, and I meant to put it up before I left on this trip. So I forgot I was going to be gone for like 11 days. Like, if you didn't put that up then, it was never going to go up for a while. But yeah, there is a video coming about that, so just so you know. There's also a video of the Africa performance from TRG Coliseum. That's going to go up on here at some point. Just the Africa performance, 6 minutes, whatever. I could always probably edit it to do something different. But anyway, oh man. I still can't believe, like, I'm home now. There's like all this stuff I can watch and do on this computer that I couldn't really mess with. But anyway, so on the fourth day, I don't even remember what I did. Okay, I know what I did. The first thing I did was I went to the music theory panel with Sab Irene and Carlos and Family Jewels. And they talked a lot about some musical stuff that was like, it was interesting because it's kind of changed the way I'm looking at music a little bit here. Like, when I hear songs now, I start thinking, like, what kind of modes they're in. But anyway, I don't want to get to talking about that. I can sit here and talk about it all day long, probably. Probably should. Probably people want me to. But, anyway. So we got out of that panel, and we kind of just sat around talking a little bit, and then, what happened after that? Oh, I was also on a Zelda Universe panel. I forgot to bring that up. I got invited to do that. We were talking about Ocarina of Time, and I got to talk with, it was me and Super MC Gamer and Amanda. It's like, when you know about a certain group of people, but they're sort of like off doing their own thing. It's like, it's not like we haven't taken pictures together with me and all of them, really. But it's just weird to... It's weird to be included in a group that you've, looked up to for so long. It's just weird to... Like, because I'll never consider myself to be, like, one of the OGs, of them, but I'm so thankful that they, consider me to be such a friend and such a, a part of their little community, because they're kind of like a separate group from the people I usually hang out with, but they're cool. They're really super cool. So, yeah, so I got to do a panel with them that night. That was like the second night, I think, but anyway. But yeah, that was fun. So anyway, back to this fourth day. I want to get to this. Oh my god, I'm running out of time. Well, I'm not running out of time, but dear god, I'm almost up to an hour here. So telling how much of this is going to get cut out. But anyway, I think I went back to the hotel room at that point. I probably went off and got Burger Fi or something. So I also started going off to this other place that makes like fruit smoothies and getting the mango pineapple smoothie in the morning. That was like really good. Those are really good. I got to find a place around here that makes those because, man, start going there all the time. Boy, I tell you, you're gonna get used to seeing my face in there. But anyway, because I can make my own smoothies, but it's just never as good. There's like something about, and maybe I should just learn how to make them or something. If you get the right ingredients, you can just make your own, but I don't know. like protein. Well, what do? Go buy a bottle of protein? Like, I know you buy nuts for protein, I think is what they do, but, you know, still. Anyway, but they have, like, these really advanced blenders, and I have this, like, NutriBullet, which usually when I make the vegetable smoothies, I still end up with little pieces of lettuce in there. They're, like, this big. You know, and that's after running it for, like, 30 seconds, you know, so I don't know. So I don't know how it's going to manage to get all those nuts all, you know, ground down to nothing. But anyway, yeah, I get back to the hotel room, and at some point John comes in with Frank. And I think Liz got sick at some point. I don't know what might have happened there, but I kind of felt bad for her. Anyway, I overhear, like, Proton John and Frank talking to each other in sort of a whisper tone, like they didn't want me to hear something. And I thought, wow, what's that all about? I don't know. It's like, well, you know, it could just be a project that they don't want me to be spilling the beans about because I overheard it, you know, in the hotel room or something. Anyway, it's not even 2 minutes later, all of a sudden John comes up to me, and he has this absolutely thick, like a dummy thick. Okay, alright, it's like it's a pie. I can't even say it, I feel so bad. It's a pile of money. And he straight up tells me how much it is, and I'm just like, he tells me it's to get a new phone. He said he gathered it between him and Frank and Liz and Allison and Chris and Jerry and Super MC Gamer and Campy and all the Zelda Universe people and the musicians, Carlos and Family Jewels and everybody, and just all these people, you know, contributed to this fund. I didn't even know what was going on to get me a new phone. He handed me this money and like, I didn't know how to react. I really didn't. I mean, I got up and moved straight in for the hug, you know, and I was telling him thank you, and I could even hear my voice, like, trying not to do that thing that it does when you cry, you know, because I was trying not to cry. I was, like, completely overwhelmed. Like, I knew that I was special to these people, but, like, there are worse things happening, I feel. I don't know, I was just, like, I can't believe that they did this for me. I'm so thankful to have them all. And I can't even put it into words, really. So, I mean, it was so perfect, too, because that was the point. I was getting ready to go to the ATM because I had just run out of cash. And all of a sudden he comes in and hands me this dummy thick wad of money. I mean, okay, I don't want to be specific about how much it was, but it's about how much, like, that you would use to buy a phone. I feel like I probably won't even need all of it to get my next phone, because the last one was like $100, so. But, you guys, I don't know how many of you guys are watching, but thank you so freaking much. I don't know what to say. I don't deserve you. Nobody deserves people as awesome as you. It's not humanly possible to be that good, or that pure, or whatever. But yeah, okay, and as if this were not enough, okay, the next day, the morning when we're leaving for the airport, we're standing out there waiting for the car, and Emil comes up and gives me even more money, saying that he wished he had the money on him to contribute to the fund yesterday, but that he wanted to put more towards it. So he gives me another little pile of money, and I'm just like, you guys, oh my god, oh my god, I can't do this, man. I just can't, I don't know, man. I don't deserve these people. So I rode with Emil and Massey up to the airport. Oh, we stopped by the post office at some point, and then it turned out it was Memorial Day, so they were closed, so go figure. So we went to the mall, and, okay, so, you know how I was talking about that time we went to the mall, like, 2 years ago, and I got this stuff that worked really good on my face? Well, we were in the mall, and I saw that store, and I was like, hey, is that store we went to 2 years ago where I got that stuff? And Emil's like, yeah, you want to go in there again? I'm like, yeah. So I go in there, and they don't have the same containers that I remember the stuff being in, but the stuff was the same color. And Emil said they were color-coded, so I'm pretty sure I got the same stuff that I got before. Look how shiny my forehead is over here, man. Anyway, turn into the Vertical Horizon lead singer in a little bit here. But anyway, so it turned out they were having a buy two, get one free sale, so I got 3 tubes of that stuff in the bathroom. You know, in the bathroom! So you can bet I'm gonna be washing. I'm gonna be watching while I wash and washing while I watch. You know, watch YouTube, that is. But yeah, so I'm so thankful I was able to grab that. We also went to Five Guys, and I got myself a. Oh man, okay, so you know that burger in the "Oh my goodness, oh my damn" video? I got a burger at Five Guys, and I swear to you, it looked exactly like that burger in that video. The cheese was oozing onto the thing when I opened it up, and the fries, they blend so perfectly. And the cheese pumping in. There's no one ham. Damn, damn, damn. I don't think that's what he actually says. But it sounds like he's saying the cheese pumping in. There's no one ham. That's what I hear even now when I listen to the song. I think I have a problem like understanding people or something because I've done this all my life. I don't know, man. But anyway, it's like my misunderstood Star Wars lines. One of these days I'm going to make that video because I swear to you, you'd be amazed how much I can remember of that. But anyway, hey, maybe I can do that later tonight. I don't know. Anyway, whew. Okay, so yeah, we went to Five Guys. I got an Oreo milkshake to go with it. And we left, and we went in the car, and it was so oh god, it was so hot, it was miserable. You know, I got to talking to Emil and them about, Emil and Masay about moving and stuff. And I told them straight up, you know, my biggest reason that I don't want to move here is because of the weather, and they were like totally understanding about that. I mean, I can't believe in May that it would be that hot down there. Like, so much for seasonal lag, good lord, dude. Like seasonal premature ejaculation is what that was. But anyway, I mean, I'm glad to be back here. It's like 77 degrees here. It feels good out there. I was about to actually go grocery shopping, but then Les went out. Asked me if I wanted anything, so I guess he's getting me something. So that's pretty cool. Saved me a trip, I'll tell you what. But yeah, that was basically the trip in a nutshell. I'm sure there are like tons of details that I'm not remembering here. I'm gonna be kicking myself. Oh yeah, okay, so the one thing that I filmed on my camera is like 10 seconds long. It was a statue, a little miniature of Sakura from Danganronpa that I saw, and I couldn't help but film it because I wanted to get it for Luca, but then like all the hair and everything, like there's no way you get that on a plane and the thing still be intact by the time you got home, especially if I gave it to John to take to her, you know, on a flight to Calgary. Like, holy crap. So, so I opted out of that. It was like $60 anyway, but man, I almost got it. So, but it looked really cool though. That's why I wanted to get it, but, or at least why I filmed it instead of getting it. But yeah, it says one other small detail that I didn't tell you about. Wait a minute. Uh-oh. Oh, is this stuck? Oh, tell me this is not stuck in here. Masay got me this Secret Mana glass, and I put it inside of this cup. Oh god, I think this thing is stuck in here. I might have to just tear the styrofoam off, but I don't want to do that because the styrofoam cup is important too. Okay, so like when we were doing the autograph session, I brought my smoothie with me, my mango pineapple smoothie, and it was in this cup here. And maybe that's why the glass is sticking to it. Maybe I didn't rinse it properly. But anyway, so, me and Miss A are sitting next to each other, and she writes "Hi, Tim" on this cup here in marker. So I'm like, "Hello," and then she writes, well, you know, she and I ended up having an entire conversation on this cup. So, like, and I didn't want to get rid of the cup, so I kept it, and now it's here, and yeah, so, yup. What can I say, man? So I did get the thing. I got a lot of stuff that people gave me, too, though. Oh. How much of it is around here where I could reach it. Let me actually, hold on. Well, no, because now I'm going to tape it up on the wall. I don't want to take it back down because that'll ruin the tape. I'll do it. Somebody got me this right here. I had seen the booth that made these. There was like different sorts of art, and they were all in like this style. And when I saw the booth, I remember the art style, but I didn't remember seeing the Yoshi. So I was kind of surprised when the person brought up the Yoshi in that art style. I was like, oh, I didn't know they had a Yoshi down there. But yeah, they sure did. So now I have a Yoshi, so that was pretty cool. People got me so many things, man. I also have a Yoshi here. This is like the biggest Yoshi I think I've ever seen. Or at least one of the big... Well, no. There's a bigger one that's out in my car for some reason. I don't remember why it's out there, but... Yeah, I think it's like my second biggest Yoshi, man. So many Yoshis, man. And then Yuki Mizuno, you may remember, she was the same girl who gave me Persona 4 last year. This year, she gave me a Picky Penguin Edgeworth. Y'all know Mr. Nico B, the Picky Penguins guy? Well, he has these as part of his merch. Speaking of which, I should make my own merch line someday. Maybe make the water hands or something. But, yeah. So now I have an Edgeworth. Like I said, once I get my own place, I can finally put all this stuff on display better. The way I used to do, you know? Because nowadays, it's like I put everything away because I don't really have any space on my walls for it anymore. And so if I had more, like, an entire living room that I could fill up with this stuff, I totally would. Because I've got piles upon piles of just stuff. Anyway, okay, so this recording is up to 1 hour and 6 minutes. I'm going to go and stop it here. And if I think of more, maybe I can talk about it later or something. Maybe I can just take some notes, you know, and then add in little details later. But in the meantime, I'm going to go and stop this. So, if you watch this entire thing, you're crazy. Thank you so much. Yeah, man, take care, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed listening to my ramblings for incessant amounts of incessant time. Incessantly.